everybody and welcome to this light novel review. In this video I am going to be talking about volume number 1 of Natsume Akatsuki's light novel series, The Combatants Will Be Dispatched. This one having illustrations by Kakao, Lanthanum. It is released officially in English by Yen On with a translation by Noboru Akimoto. If you'd like to pick up your own copy of this light novel, I do have links to a number of retailers in the description down below. Combatants Will Be Dispatched tells the story of Agent 6, a agent who works for the Kisaragi organization, an evil organization that is about to realize its goal of world domination. The thing is, dominating the world and running the world and ruling the world, it's comes with a couple of headaches. First of all, there's a lot of people that you got to take care of and find a place to live and find resources for. Secondly, the environment's kind of garbage. And third, the Kisaragi organization has a lot of agents that work for them. Agents that, once they control the world, aren't going to have a whole lot to do. And, well, we don't want agents to get unhappy or be unemployed, so the Kisaragi organization comes up with a plan to give their agents work, to find new and large amounts of land for the human population to live on, and to find a bunch of new resources. And what is that? They're going to invade another world. Agent 6 is chosen to be the advance recon for this mission. He and a super advanced android who is in the form of a sarcastic lolly named Alice, are sent to a world that the Kisaragi organization has scouted, they believe is going to be habitable by human beings. They teleport Agent 6 and Alice to this world, and they do find that, this world is indeed habitable by human beings. In fact, there are human beings living here already. However, this is a world where magic exists. It is a world of swords and sorcery. And of course, the humans are being besieged by what else? Demons. Well, Agent 6, this follows his journey as he decides just what he's going to recommend to the Kisaragi organization about this particular world, and how they're going to go about just dealing with the problems of this world so that the Kisaragi organization can truly seize control of it. Now, if you had the name Natsume Akatsuki kind of ring a bell, the reason is that this is the same author as a, tiny little series known as Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. So if you're familiar with Konosuba, you kind of have a rough idea about what kind of trip you're in for with Combatants Will Be Dispatched. In fact, it is kind of interesting because in the afterwards of Combatants, Akatsuki mentions that this story was actually written before Konosuba, so it was sort of conceived and put together, but never really fully realized. And so there's a lot of stuff in this book that if you're familiar with Konosuba, you're going to see prototypes of a lot of those characters. Agent 6, obviously, is very much the prototype of Kazuma. He is the arguably he is the main character. There are other instances in this book where it is told from a first-person's perspective that does not belong to Agent 6, but I would say probably a good 85%, if not more, of the book is from his first-person point of view. Now, he's not quite as slimy as Kazuma can be, which is kind of odd considering that he quite literally works for an evil organization. In fact, this organization values evil so much that he has a chip in his head that keeps track of his actions, and if it decides that they are evil enough, it assigns him evil points. Evil points that he can actually then redeem for equipment from the Kisaragi organization. The fact is, the Kisaragi organization is in typical Akatsuki style, they're a little quirky, and they pay like crap, apparently. And if you really want good stuff, you gotta rack up the evil points. Which is a bit of a problem because Agent 6 isn't really that evil a guy. That's probably the one thing about this book as you're reading it. You're kind of like, well, they actually make reference to the fact that he's not that evil. In fact, Alice berates him a couple of times about how he's really not a great agent overall. Like, he gets the job done, but she's like, you kind of lack in the evil department, which is, you know, why things are, you get them done, but it's never as easy as it probably could be. Why he sticks with this organization, I think, is one of the mysteries that we will probably find out as we go along, because we do find out that Agent 6 is actually one of the very early agents that joined the Kisaragi organization. In fact, joined them when he was a young teenager. When this book occurs, he's early 20s. We also have a couple of other characters in this book that when, again, you can very much compare them to sort of a Konosuba. Alice obviously has the snark of Aqua, but she is far more useful than Aqua, both in a fight and just kind of overall. We have a character named Snow, who is a paladin, a swordswoman, a very accomplished swordswoman, but, you know, she is a bit of a uptight personality. She is not... It's kind of like what Darkness would be if Darkness wasn't a pervert and actually worked on her sword skills. Then we have a character who is named Grim, who is this archbishop of this god of undeath and death, and she actually, I found, was really entertaining. Yeah, she's really quite funny, actually, and the whole, like, I don't want to ruin anything about her, because I was surprised by what happened early on in the book, and it was very entertaining after that point, so I won't spoil that one. But she is an interesting character with a fun backstory. We also have a character named Rose, who is sort of this young teenage girl who kind of is a Mugumin, but she's not really. She's actually a chimera, or so she claims to be. She's clearly somewhat of a monster, whether it be, you know, she's part demon is what they sort of say about her. And I would say that Combatants Will Be Dispatched is kind of interesting because it is not quite as zany, crazy, hijinky as Konosuba. The characters are a little bit more stable. It's not to say that they aren't having their moments, but they're a little bit more with it than their counterparts in Konosuba. Of course, the story has a slightly different flavor to it because it is an isekai, kind of. Like, I mean, it is a person taken from Earth going to another world, but again, it's a very different sort of how he arrives there is different. You know, he's not summoned, he doesn't die and get reincarnated. He is sent there. And his mission in that particular case is, again, very different. Most often in isekais, it's all about saving the world from demon lords and stuff like this. In this case, he's actually going there as an advanced unit of an invasion force and trying to figure out ways that he's going to actually help the Kisaragi organization take over the place. And yes, they will probably have to deal with the demon lord, because actually Agent 6 says at one point, he's like, this world only has room for one evil organization, and it's going to be us. So, like Konosuba, though, there are quite a good number of laughs in this one. I found it actually really entertaining in that regard. It's like Konosuba in terms of how you just kind of blaze through it. It's very readable. It's very an easy read. It's a little bit longer though than a number of Konosuba volumes. You know, it's I'd say Konosuba is kind of on the short side of your average light novel. This one is, I'd say, probably more average length in terms of a light novel. So a little bit longer than your average Konosuba. It feels written kind of for an older audience. I say that, I mean, I know there's lots of mature-ish stuff in Konosuba, so it's not, I wouldn't really say that. I would say maybe it's probably better to say this one is a little bit more isshy than Konosuba. And you say to me, what do you mean, Justus? Isshy, what do you mean? I mean, when confronting a Demon Lord's general, well, my light keeps reflecting at it, Agent 6 humiliates her by making her do sexy poses and taking lots of pictures. Yeah, and that's really not the end of it. Although what's funny about it is that Agent 6 doesn't seem quite as perverted as Kazuma. Like, Agent 6 doesn't make a habit of stealing girls' panties or threatening to steal girls' panties. Although there is something he does to earn evil points towards the end, which is, it's funny because it both shows you the thing that he views as evil, but that he's still like this good guy. It's hard to talk about without spoiling, but I don't want to spoil it because it's really funny, actually. There's like I said, this is one of those books that you can't say too much because a lot of the stuff turns into gags. I mean, like, one of the running gags, of course, is that Alice is an android, and yet, so she's supposed to lack emotion. She's a robot, but she comes out with a lot of stuff that seems to make it pretty clear that she certainly has thoughts, and they seem to have quite a bit of emotion behind them. All in all, I would say that this is kind of one of those books where if you like Konosuba, but sometimes you find it maybe a little over the top with how just absolutely wacky and broken some of the characters are, you might actually prefer this one because, like I said, the characters seem a little bit more stable in terms of how they are. And unlike, say, Konosuba, where it seems like the whole defeat the Demon Lord mission gets very lost in the whole thing, Combatants seems to have a little bit more of a firm grasp of this is what we are going to do. And yes, absolutely, I have no doubt it's going to meander along the way, but it seems to have a little bit more clear-cut idea of what it is trying to accomplish. 6 is a bit more driven than Kazuma. I mean, Kazuma's, like, obviously he is fine with being lazy and doing nothing, whereas 6 is much more driven. 6 still is business. He is still an accomplished agent who is attempting to succeed in his mission. The other thing that I would say about this book is it's a little bit more violent than Konosuba. And I mean, like, you know, head splattering violent. I off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that was quite as gore violent in Konosuba as there was in this first volume. That said, I mean, most of it is still played for laughs, and it's certainly not gone into any kind of, you know, really graphic detail that I think would turn anybody off. It was just kind of funny to see it be a little bit more edgy that way. Maybe that's probably the best way to put this. This is like it's characters that are not as broken as Konosuba, but it certainly does have some things that are edgier than Konosuba. In terms of the artwork for this one, I actually really like the art. It's not an artist that I'm familiar with. In fact, when I tried to even look on Amazon.co.jp to see some of the artist's other stuff, I couldn't find a whole lot. So I don't know who this artist is in terms of their background or where they came from, but I already showed you like just how good the, you know, color artwork is in it. But the one thing that I really like, and this is something that I talked about in my previous review about how the sort of black and white interior artwork being sort of toned down in terms of its detail. But you can see, like, in this one, that's really not the case. If you take a look at some of the color artwork that's in, or the black and white artwork that's in here, I mean, it really, really good stuff. Lots of really great facial expressions, tons of still detail, like all the characters maintain their level of detail. It doesn't look like any of that interior illustration was just dialed in. So the artwork on this one's actually really good. Again, if anybody's more familiar with this artist or has any more information about their background, I'd love to hear about that in the comments because, as I said, I couldn't find a whole lot on this person. So those are my general thoughts on Combatants Will Be Dispatched. If you like Konosuba, this is definitely one to check out. If you think Konosuba is a little over the top on the zaniness, but you still kind of like it, I think you might actually prefer this one. I also like that it's a little bit of a different spin on the whole isekai genre. And I do kind of enjoy the fact that our main character is technologically OP, but has no magic. And so it's kind of that whole idea of, what's that old sort of saying about how, you know, the higher your technology is, the more it appears magic to, you know, depending on who the person is that's observing it. It's kind of like that. So overall, this one I found really enjoyable, a lot of fun. Definitely want to read more of this one going forward. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Vixlab.com, Michaela Werner, Philip Vosseberg, Jean-Luc Chartier, and Ricardo Matos for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons who continue to help me to buy books to review here on this channel, as well as paying for additional hosting for the Light Novel Podcast so we can be on as many platforms as possible. For my next review, I'm actually going to be returning to a series that I've really enjoyed, but you know, we've waited a long time for the third volume, and then I waited even longer because I got behind in my read list, but nonetheless, I will be talking about volume number 3 of Nishio Ishin's Zarigoto series. This one, Suspension, Kubitsuri High School, the Nonsense User's Disciple. So that's going to be my next review. I hope you'll check it out. In the meantime, thanks for joining me in this review. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.